Good morning, ma'am. This is our application CyberSafe, a multi-purpose security toolbox. The teammates who were involved in this project are Soham Sarkar, 18BC1016, Yes Jain, 18BC1038, and myself, Jait Saha, 18BC1071. Now we will go through the project modules.
The first part of our project is a malicious website detection software. This is basically a URL checker. That is, we have fashioned a program where you basically enter the URL and it returns whether it's malicious or not. Next slide.
The next part of our application is the web application firewall. This basically checks whether our user or any malicious person is entering any JavaScript or PHP script or wants to do an SQLi attack, and it stops it immediately by using various deep learning and machine learning algorithms. Next slide.
Ma'am, as a next module that we have implemented is as a part of a toolkit is implementing data link layer attacks. So in this we have implemented two attacks. The first one is the address resolution protocol, that is ARP attack, and the next one is the DHCP attack. So for implementing these data link layer attacks, we have actually used Python libraries like Scapy, IMPacket, etc. Ma'am, as we know, like data link layer is responsible for frame detection, error control, etc. So any vulnerability in the data link layer can compromise the whole model. So that is why it is very important to understand the possible attacks and how we can thwart them. Next slide.
The process flow of this application is the client actually requests a HTTP, and it is getting processed first by the WAF, and which is firewall, and then it is going to the server. In the WAF, the machine learning PKL files will be attached with the request, and it would be processed whether it is safe to go to the server or it is discarded. So that's how the security firewall is maintained. Next slide.
So ma'am, as a part of a module, what in our console interface we have, it consists of 4 modules. That is DHCP detection, DHCP attack module, ARP detect, and ARP attack. So the first one is that we are going to implement is ARP attack. So ma'am, in ARP attack, we know like there will be a local network, and in this network we would be having a attacker machine and a victim machine, and there will be a gateway as well. So whenever we send any request from our machine, it goes to the gateway and then it goes to the rest of the internet. So we can say that gateway is basically the entrance to our local network. Now, if ARP attack is not launched, so what would be the normal flow? The normal flow would be like whenever the machine would send any request, it goes to the gateway and then it goes to the rest of the internet. Whenever the response comes, it first comes to the gateway and then to the machine. But what happens if there is an attacker machine and he has implemented the ARP attack? In this case, the attacker machine would try to change the connection in such a way that all the victim machine's requests would come to the attacker, and then it would send all the requests to the gateway. Here we mean the attacker. So same goes with the response as well. Victim machine would think that everything is working fine, as to every request it is getting the desired response. It would not think how the response is coming to it. It only matters that it gets the response. So in the ARP attack, ma'am, what we are going to do is the attacker machine, what it will do that whenever a machine wants to know the MAC address of the other machine, it sends the ARP packet. Then that machine, it sends the response saying that, hey, the machine whom you were asking the MAC address is me. That machine can also send the IP address along with that ARP packet as well. So this is the identification. In ARP, what we do is, as you can see in the following diagram, we as an attacker would spoof an ARP attack where the IP address of the attacker and the MAC address would be of the victim. Whenever the request would reach the gateway, then the gateway would ask whose MAC address is this. But as the attacker machine, we would be sending so many ARP packets to the gateway that the gateway would assign our MAC address with the victim machine's IP address, and so the gateway thinks that we are the victim machine. So we are actually are acting as a man in the middle. So this is the ARP attack now. The next thing is the ARP detection module. In this, what we will be doing is whatever the packets that the victim will be getting through Wireshark, we will be sniffing all the ARP packets that victim is receiving, and through that, we will be pinging the destination of the ARP packet, and then we will be actually checking whether the MAC address is of the gateway or not. And if the MAC address is not of the gateway, but it is of someone else, that is the attacker in this case, this way we can detect that there is an ARP attack on us.
Now
Next.
we will have some screenshots of our application. These are the modules that were used in our application, namely PCAPI, NetInfaces, XGBoost classifier, random forest algorithm, IM packet, and majorly Python. Next slide. These are the references which from where we referred for our application. And now we will proceed with the actual live demonstration of the whole application.
Okay, ma'am. So the first thing that we are going to implement is ARP attack. So, ma'am, for implementing the attacks, we need two VMs. So here I am having two VMs in which I have Lubuntu, which I would be using as an attacker machine, and the next one is the Kali, which will be our victim machine. So now, so ma'am, this is the home page of our website. So the first thing that we are going to show you is the ARP detection. So these are the following inputs that the user has to add in order to detect that there is an ARP attack on him or not. So the first thing is the gateway IP address and the gateway MAC address, IP address of the victim machine, and the MAC address of the victim machine. So it is very easy to get. So in the Kali, in order to get the IP address of the gateway and the IP address of and the MAC address of the gateway, we can use the command net discover. So after performing the net discover command, you can see the results as shown here, in which this is our this is the information about the MAC about the gateway. So the gateway's IP address is 192.168.198.2, and its MAC address is, as you can see, this is the MAC address of the gateway. So the same I will be inputting it over here. So ma'am, I have input the IP address of the gateway and the MAC address of the gateway. Now the next one is the IP address and the MAC address of the victim machine. For that, we can use ifconfig command. So after running the ifconfig command, we will be getting the result like this. In this, you can see this is the IP address of the victim machine after inet, and the MAC address is after either. So now this we will be inputting it in our website. So this is the IP address and this is the MAC address. So ma'am, till now I haven't launched any ARP attack. So just just for the user to check if there is an ARP attack. So let's submit this. As you can see, ma'am, that till now we haven't launched any ARP attack. So you could see there is a message that you are safe and there is no ARP attack on you. And if I'll open up the Gmail, we have also having a following functionality in which we will be sending the notification to the user, and this is the result, that is the ARP scan result. It would automatically be sent to the user through mail and saying that you are safe and there is no ARP attack on you. Now what will happen if there is an attacker and I launch the attack? So for that I will be using Lubuntu and I launch the attack from here. So ma'am, I have launched the attack, and as you can see, it is sending the spoofed ARP packets. So now if I'll be inputting the same input that I was doing previously, and I'll submit, then you can see the result that there is an attack which is coming from the MAC address, and this is the MAC address. Now this is the MAC address of the attacker. So in order to confirm that this is the MAC address of the attacker or not, we can actually go, and here we can type. I'll close this off. And now if I'll do ifconfig, I can see, as you can see, the MAC address, this is the MAC address of the attacker, and it ends with 55:A3. And the same you can see it over here as well, that there is a MAC address from this MAC address. So user would able to know that from which MAC address the attack is actually performed on. So this is the ARP attack, ma'am. The next one that we are going to do is the DHCP detection. Now, in the DHCP, what happens is, we know there is a DHCP server, and that server, it actually maintains, there is a file called DHCP leases file. In the DHCP server would be storing the records of the IP addresses which it assigns to the machines in the local area network. So let's say if there is any machine who wants to request for an IP address, what it does is it will send the request to the server and saying that, hey, I want to have this IP address, and based on the availability of the IP addresses in the local network, the DHCP server would assign the IP address to the particular machine who was asking for that. Now, as an attacker, what we are going to do is, we will be sending too many requests to the DHCP server in such a way that we will freeze all the IP address which are available in the local area network. And because of that, what will happen? The legit machines which are there in the local area network, and when it asks for that, hey, I want the IP address to be assigned, then DHCP server, because of having no availability, it will actually send a NAC, which we say it's a negative acknowledgement, telling the victim machine, telling the machine that it has no availability of the IP addresses, since as the attacker we have freezed all the IP addresses. So now let's come to the detection module. Now I haven't run the DHCP attack, so now so I will start the DHCP now. Okay, so when I do so ma'am, as you can see, these are the from the DHCP server, it offers these IP addresses from the range 192.168.198.145 to 198.254. Now this is the IP address range that DHCP server is providing us. Now I will launch the DHCP attack from the Ubuntu. Now, as you can see, I have started the DHCP attack. And now if I'll to check, now in order to detect, the user has to click this submit button, and there is a message that there is a DHCP starvation attack from this MAC address, and this is the same MAC address which the attackers. This is the MAC address of the attacker. So ma'am, this is the DHCP detection. Now my friend Jait will be explaining you about web application firewall.
Yes, now open the actual firewall, the web application of the WAF. So now we will enter various payloads. So for starters, we will enter just bracket, which all we know that it is not malicious. So according to our algorithm, machine learning algorithm, it is safe and we can proceed forward. So let's try with some other algorithms and other expressions. So now the payload is malicious and there is a 403 error and the server blocks it and it does not go through the server. We can try one more, I think. As you can see, even this is a malicious and 403 error. And finally, we will do an SQLi injection attack. So accordingly, it should be malicious too. So our deep learning and machine learning algorithm combined is giving an accuracy of over 95% and which can be reflected in the web application too. Now over to Soham to explain the malicious URL part of the web application.
So basically the malicious URL detection part works on string comparisons. First, let's enter a non-malicious URL like Tumblr. Now basically this model utilizes the long short-term memory recurrent neural network or LSTM, and because it's working only on the basis of string comparisons, that's why we need a neural network here. Let's use PHP injection here. Yes, yeah. PHP injection attack should come as malicious, and now lastly we can do another normal site like Google. This should come as non-malicious. So since we are utilizing only string comparisons, that's why we have been implementing LSTM. Next slide. Yeah, so basically this was the first fake URL detector code that we implemented. This was a much more robust code which considered factors like URL length, then which country the URL actually came from, as you can see from the data set. Can you go a little down? Yeah, so how this code worked is basically it, instead of doing string comparisons, it found similarities in the whole data set, and it converted the whole data set in the form of numbers. So the data set was cleaned. Now can we go down a little? Yeah, we are seeing the whole heat map of the data set. We can go a little down more to the model declaration part. Yeah, stop. Yeah, so basically what this data set were done is we first divided the data set into 66% training and 33% testing data. Then we had to implement a since the whole data set had been converted into numerical data, we could use any machine learning model on it. Logistic regression and KNN gave inferior results of around 85 to 90% accuracy. So the best accuracy that came was from a random forest model, which gave, as you can see in the screen, 96.3% accuracy. Now the problem with this data set was that it considered so much information that a normal user wouldn't have. So we thought that we need to have an easier data set, a data set that works only on string comparisons. But for classifying a URL as malicious or non-malicious just on the basis of string comparisons, we needed a huge data set, and for huge data set we needed a neural network. Our normal machine learning algorithms won't work in that case, or otherwise it would take a lot of time to train. So we found that the best was to have a short-term memory neural network like an LSTM, and we implemented a bidirectional LSTM for this purpose. And so our code works that we just give an URL, and based on string comparisons it returns whether it's malicious or non-malicious. Next slide.
Okay, now over to the web application firewall. So initially we import all the dependencies like pandas and sklearn feature selection and extraction. We load the CSV data set, which has all the malicious and non-malicious payload. And now it is on us by doing various feature engineering, like in this data set, as you can see, there is length of the payload, number of non-printable characters, punctuations, there are distinct bytes, maximum bytes, minimum bytes, and SQL and JavaScript keywords. So now we will create, there is a function called def create feature length, which actually handles the length of the features. Then there is it actually handles all the features like create feature non-printable. It is handling the non-printable feature. If you can go down, Yes. So this is the punctuation handler, and this is the maximum byte handler. It is actually pre-processing the whole data and making it numerical in nature so that various machine learning and neural networks can be applied to it. So at the end of this, we are finally exporting. Just go down. Just go down. We are finally exporting the whole CSV file, and in the next slide, in the next tab. Yes. So this is where the actual machine learning models are getting implemented. So now we are again reading the pre-processed CSV file, which contains all numerical datas, and we are more interested in the Y value, which is whether the URL or whether the script tag is malicious or not. So we are now separating into train and test classifier, and we have used the XGBoost classifier, which has given superior results as comparison to random forest and KNN. And now we are predicting, and the accuracy is really good, over 99.14%. And this is the whole model which is getting implemented. And as you can see, it has successfully also implemented in the web application. So this is a wrap from our side. And thank you so much, ma'am. This is CyberSafe.
Thank you.